Hi everyone, and welcome to another Ready to Ride Pilates for Horse Riders session. And as always, if you have come here and you're not a horse rider, please don't go away. All these exercises will be great for you too, provided you are fit to do them. We're going to be concentrating on predominantly upper body strength, but also some abs work today. Upper body strength is really important for riders. If you want to have a nice light contact, you need to be strong all around your shoulders, and that's what we're going to be working on today. These will be quite hard, so if you've got sore shoulders in particular, or if you've got sore wrists, these may not be so great for you, but some of them you'll be able to do a modified version of. So to start off with, we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up just to make sure everything is woken up and ready to go. It would be great if you've already done one of the warm-up sessions on this channel. There are 3 to choose from, but if you haven't, we will get you a bit loosened off to start off with. So arms across your chest and making sure that your shoulders stay nice and level. Turn your shoulders from side to side. And you want to be feeling your seat bones as you do this, and try to make sure that the pressure underneath your seat bones stays equal the whole way through the movement. Bearing in mind, when you're on the horse, ideally your seat bone pressure into the saddle is equal unless you ask it not to be. So you want your body to turn equally in both directions, smoothly and balanced, with equal pressure through your seat. Okay, then we're going to do a little bit of a stretch. I have one down onto the side and then stretch over your head. You do a nice breath in, and that will help you to stretch down those ribs and the muscles over the ribs, and then come back down again. We'll go to the same side, so hand over, nice breath in, increase the stretch, and then breathe out as you bring your hand back down. We'll do one more to that side, so hand over, good big breath in, hand back down. Then we're going to the other side, so hand over your head, good big breath in at the top, and then bring that hand back down, and again over to the side, lovely breath in, stretch down the side and down, and we're going to do one more to that same side and then come back down. Then before we go into the main exercises, just pause for a moment to really lengthen up, feel your spine lengthen right from the bottom, base of your spine right up to the top, out through the top of your head. And then you're going down onto your side. We're going to start off with an exercise called the side bend. You need to be in what we call the capital L position. So straight line from shoulders, hips to knees, knees bent to 90 degrees, shoulder underneath you, top hand onto your top headlight or top arm to your top side, pelvic floor onto floor 3, and you're simultaneously lifting your arm and your pelvis. So this is fairly straightforward. If you have got dodgy shoulders, you can still work on doing some arm control, and in a second when we progress the leg part of this, you can work quite well without doing the lift, but you can still work on this exercise quite well. Okay, so you're thinking pelvic floor, synchronized movement, and then we're going to make it a bit harder to lift that top leg, and in you go. Now of course, if this is one step too far, you can stay doing the easy version. It's absolutely fine, it will still work you hard. This just ramps up the intensity a little bit and increases the work through your glutes. Make sure you're still breathing, so think pelvic floor on floor 3 all the way through, and breathing at your own comfortable pace. Okay, to make it a little bit harder, we're going to add in a leg movement now. So you're going to straighten the top leg and bring it back in, always keeping the leg hovering, but you're just making it a little bit harder. Won't do hundreds of these. Again, if this is a step too far, step back down to the level below. It's absolutely fine. I'm just giving you these options, so if you want to do the harder ones, you can. Last one. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, get yourself set up into a capital L position before you start. Shoulders, hips, knees in a straight line. Knees bent to 90 degrees, top arm on your top side, pelvic floor at the ready, and then off you go. Going for that synchronized movement of shoulders and pelvis. We're looking for synchronization. So much of riding is about synchronization. Keep the pelvic floor going and make sure you're breathing. One more of this one, and then we'll add in the leg lift. Okay, so now you're keeping that top leg up, still thinking pelvic floor, making sure you're breathing, and making sure you've still got that synchronization of lift and movement from the arm. This is good. As before, if this is too much, go back down to the level below use both legs. Now we're going to add in the movement of the top leg as well. So now we're synchronising the lift of the pelvis, the movement of the arm and the movement of the leg. Pretty much every bit of you is doing something completely different. I love this exercise. It's such a good, although okay, we don't do these specific movements on the horse, it's such a good replica of that scenario when each limb is doing something completely different, and yet you want your body to be nice and still and elegant looking, so it all looks totally easy. One more. Okay, we're now going to go on to hands and knees. Hopefully give myself enough headroom here. Okay, so you're going to start with hands just in front of your shoulders, toes tucked underneath your feet, and your knees underneath your hips-ish. It doesn't have to be totally specific. This is one of the wrist dodgy ones, so if you're a little bit uncomfortable, probably just fix with the first level of this, or you might find you're more comfortable with your hands like so. Okay, so pelvic floor onto floor 3, then you're lifting your knees and slowly back down. So nice and simple to start off with, just engaging the muscles around your shoulders, getting your abs switching on to what's being asked of them. Keep the movement quite small. Like I said, if that's where you want to stop, that's fine. Otherwise, hands a little bit further forward, and then it's pelvic floor lift and then forwards. Back over the knees and down. So pelvic floor lift, forwards, back over the knees and down. The key here is to aim for that straight-ish line from shoulders, hips to knees. What we're trying to avoid is this. So it's lift and forwards, back over and down. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit harder. As always, if you want to stick with the previous level, that's absolutely fine. We're going to add in a bit of leg work. So we're going to stay up, see if you can maintain that static position through your upper body. Keep using your pelvic floor, keep breathing. And as you're doing the leg lifts, try to keep your headlights level. So that means that you're moving from your hips, not from your pelvis. If your headlights are moving, you're moving from your pelvis. And when you're riding, so much of what you want comes from your hips. Okay, I'm going to come back over, have a little bit of a breather. The next version is a little bit harder still, so again, if you want to stay at the one we've just done, absolutely fine. If you want to have a breather, that's absolutely fine too. So one more, pelvic floor lift forwards, and you're going to bring your knees up underneath your chest. Again, trying if you can to keep those headlights basically still, keep the pelvic floor going, and try to keep breathing. One more each leg, back over the knees and down. If you need to have a little bit of a stretch, do your shell stretch in this position. So hands forwards, nice big breath in, breathe out, bring your hands back up. Okay, and we're now going to go into sitting. And we're going to do another exercise called the leg pull in this position. So you have your hands really wherever feels most comfortable. Mine, it's sort of slightly turned out, and a little way behind you, you've got to have somewhere to go. If your hands are right here, you'll have nowhere to go. Once again, start with your pelvic floor onto floor 3, then thinking of your hips as a hinge. You're lifting up, so again we're looking for that straightish line, shoulders, hips, knees to toes, and back down. Pelvic floor lift, and slowly back down. So unlike some of the exercises where you're thinking of moving segmentally through your spine, this one, it really is hips as a hinge. And this actually means it's targeting your hip flexors as well, so they're having to work to lengthen and control you into the lift. As always, if you want to stick with this one, that's absolutely fine. Otherwise, we're going to make it a little bit harder. So you're going to go up and then do some alternate leg lifts. I'm going to stay doing this. You can go back down after you've done 1 or 2 with each leg. I'll keep going so I can demonstrate. Once again, keep the pelvic floor going, keep breathing, and again, as much as you can, focus on that headlight position, trying to make sure your headlights stay level so that movement comes from your hips. I'm going to come back down, have a breather. I'm going to show you one more variation of that one that you can do if you want the extra challenge. So again, pelvic floor, up, bring the leg up, check your headlights, turn out and back down. So come up, turn out and back down. So this is basically your hip twist, but made a little bit harder. So you want to really concentrate on keeping those equal headlights, keeping breathing, and keeping your pelvic floor onto floor 3 and down. So that's a really good all-around exercise. It targets pretty much every muscle group apart from maybe your abs. Okay, we're going to finish off for the hard ones with doing your tricep dips, and I think having your hands pointed towards your bottom is the best way to do this one. So once again, pelvic floor then up, and you're going to just do some little dips. Now the key with this one is to make sure that you're moving by bending your elbows, not by dropping your bottom. So keep your pelvic floor going, keep your headlights level, and guess what? Keep breathing. Couple more. Super job. Okay, right, I'm going to turn to face you again. So you've worked quite hard with doing those, and I suggest that before you finish, we do a couple of little exercises just to loosen you off. So some nice big shoulder girdle rolls. What you don't want to do is work really hard and then just go straight off and do something else. Try and loosen off before you finish. Sometimes it's a good idea to make sure you can move your shoulders independently. I quite like this one because sometimes it highlights that one side moves more than the other. Okay, and we're going to do a little stretch. So one arm across, put your hand above the elbow and give a stretch all around the back of your shoulders. Ease that pressure off. And then the same one again, so arm right across, good big stretch. And ease the pressure off. And we're going to do one more. Remember, we're not trying to lengthen any tissue when we do a stretch. We're just making sure that we've taken those muscles, those soft tissues, through their full available range. And again, so hand above the elbow into that stretch. And if, like me, you find that you feel the stretch differently on each side, doesn't matter. It's just a reflection of the fact that your body is a little bit tighter in the tissues on one side in one place and on the other side in another place. It doesn't matter at all. It's not a sign there's a problem. One more this way. And then bring your arms back down. And then again, before you finish, just make sure you're really lengthened through your spine. So again, that feeling of drawing up from the base of your spine. Feel that you've got a piece of string pulling you up tall, but you're relaxed and back and down and open through your shoulders. And we will finish there. So that was probably a bit of a challenge. It's a really good exercise session to do. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit tired now, but why not go and do one of the other sessions on this channel? There'll be a link to another session straight after this. And thank you so much for joining in. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And otherwise, take care, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.